Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We are almost officially finished with our very first week of virtual education. You guys have been pulling through and you've been rock stars throughout this entire thing. Thank you for being so patient. Thank you for, if you had any questions that you were popping in on during office hours and asking them. Thank you for just hanging out during office hours too. I had a lot of you just wanting to chill with me, which is, cool. I love seeing your faces. I miss you guys. So, hey, we're in this together. Don't hesitate to pop in if you need something, okay? But again, we made it to Thursday, so let's get started on Thursday's lesson, shall we? So all this week, we have been working on activity 3.8. We're talking about organizing and communicating an argument. And this is going to help with your embedded assessment. That's still happening, but it's going to be a little bit different. This presentation that you'll be working on today is going to basically kind of mirror what it is that you are expected to complete for your assignment next week. And you'll have a long time to complete that assignment. You'll have all week. So it shouldn't be hopefully too stressful or strenuous on your schedules already. Okay. So looking at the learning targets, we're focusing on present a position on the controversy in a debate, using evidence from research, and contributing ideas clearly and responding to others' ideas. Now, you won't be able to respond to each other. I'll just be the one responding to you and then maybe you responding back to me. But we are going to be presenting a position in a Google Slides presentation. So I'm going to go down. And you should have already been able to answer these questions. Yesterday, I wanted you to answer number 13 and fill out a KWHL chart. This chart will be kind of like your pre-write, if you will, before your actual rough draft and then your actual slides presentation assignment. So I do hope that you were able to fill that out and put a lot of criteria into each of these columns because you will be using that in the next part of our assignment. Again, the check your understanding is to summarize the findings of your research. You don't have to formally submit this as an assignment, but I do want you to think about, what you found in your research and kind of just summarize yourself, your position on your claim about social networking being good or negative, having a negative impact on our society and our kids. So in the Google Doc, which I'll show you in just a moment, I did recreate this chart. It's preparing for an argument. You're going to be preparing for your argument by laying out your claim and 3 reasons, adding evidence, and also source citations. You are going to need to have source citations in order to not be plagiarizing any of the research that you have found. So I know it's here on your Springboard book, but I'm actually going to switch over to the document. So for your Springboard assignment, you're going to consider all of the research you've done, and you're going to complete the graphic organizer to prepare for this debate. Remember, the statement you are arguing is whether you agree or disagree that social networking has a negative impact on kids. So that is going to be your claim. You're going to tell me if you agree that it has a negative impact or if you disagree that it has a negative impact. That will be your position. That will be your stance on your debate. Then, of course, your reasons and evidence and source citations are going to follow what it is that what you're going to be claiming, what you're going to support your claim using. Also, tone. I want you to go back to that activity. I believe it was activity 3.6 for tone, and also language to use, formal style. If we think about the tone of our argument when we're presenting it, then it'll be easier to try to convince others, easier to persuade others to come to our side and know that our side is the correct side that they want to be a part of. This is the formative assignment for the Google Slides presentation. I am going to be going over it in depth with you in this video, so I do want you to make sure you're paying attention, take any notes, and write down any questions that you have so that way you can pop on Google Classroom, or again, you can pop in during office hours to ask questions that you may not that you're still not very sure of. So for the formative assignment, it's a Google Slides presentation. Using the information from the graphic organizer, preparing an argument that you have filled above, you will create a slides presentation to support your claim of whether you agree or disagree that social networking has a negative impact on kids. The layout has been done already for you. You will need to follow the guidelines on each slide to create your presentation, and you will find the Google Slides presentation attached to Thursday's lesson.
Hi, Mom.
I'm recording. Hello, Marshawn. Isn't it nice when you can record at home with your children? Moving on, let's look at the Google Slides presentation. I like when I pop up, it's fun. So for your Google Slides presentation, I've already created the skeleton for you. All you need to do is insert the information that is being provided. I want you to also notice that I did put, sorry about that. I did put at the bottom here for your, excuse me. I did put at the bottom here some criteria that is expected of you when you are completing these presentations. So you will obviously, delete title, you'll put your first, last name, and you'll put the date. Actually, I'm going to present it so that way it's a little bigger. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is a reference slide. You will delete the slide when you submit your actual assignment. So I will know that you followed directions on this video if you deleted this slide. So again, this is just for your reference. Delete it before you submit it on Google Classroom, the slide. And please follow the directions to ensure that you receive full credit, of course, for the assignment. So change the document title, slides presentation project, to name your Google Slides document the same as your title in the very first slide. So your title and your document title will be the same. It says, please also put your first and last name and the date. That date can be for today. That date can be for Saturday, depending on whenever you complete your assignment. You will not need to put your block on the assignment because I'm going to know already which block you're in. Next, it says your writing should have a formal style and tone. Please refer back to activity 3.6 to assist you. So go back into your Springboard book. Again, the PDF version is on Google Classroom, as well as if you log into your Springboard Digital, hopefully it's still working for you. And it will help you, it'll help you when you go back to look at the activities and remind you of what formal style and tone is and how it needs to sound when it is written down. Or typed, if you will, now, when we're doing this Google Slides presentation. I want you to add visual displays to help support your reasons. You do not need a visual for each reason, just at least one of your reasons. If you want one for each one, that's perfectly fine, as long as the other criteria is met as well. You may find these graphics by completing your research, and you may also create your own graphic by inserting a chart into your presentation. And I will show you on my end how to do that. Refer back to activity 3.7, specifically page 208, to assist you on this. 208 gives you the different types of visuals that you could use, and then you could probably find a visual or find some research and create your visual. Next, you may change the font, you may change the colors, you may change the background, slide layout. You can change all of that. But I do not want your presentation being difficult to read. Again, no hot pink or lime green font, no cursive font that's very difficult to read. Please make it so that way it's legible. You may add more slides for your work if you would like. Please remember to label them properly and keep them in proper order. I do also want to make sure that I reiterate that you don't delete any of the slides that I have created for you. You can change the layout, you can change the font, you can change the color, but do not delete the actual slide. You will be able to get rid of also the information at the bottom. That's just for your reference as well. Next is you may add more slides for your work if you would like. So please remember to label them properly and keep them in proper order. Oh, I think I just read that. Sorry. Next, spelling, punctuation, grammar, capitalization, sentence structure all count towards your grade. I want you to triple check that your work is properly being completed before you submit it. I am still looking at just simple bell ringers that do not have capital I's. We are in sixth grade, ladies and gentlemen. If we are not capitalizing our I's, that's just lazy. We don't want to be lazy. We don't want to have lazy work. We want to get the best grade that we can get, and not capitalizing proper nouns is not the way to go about getting a good grade. All right? Okay, so for the next slide here, it is your claim. I'm going to exit out so that way you can see. All right. So the next slide is going to be your claim. It says type your claim in the box above for the argument. And again, on my slide, you'll be able to see how I've done it. It says social networking has a negative impact. Social networking has a negative impact on kids. This should be in the form of a sentence. And then in the larger text box, you're going to give me an introduction as to what you're going to be talking about in your next 3 slides for your reasons. Next slide is reason 1. You will have evidence to support your reason and sources that help support your reason. So you will need, this is the same at the bottom for all of the slides. So I'm not going to go through each slide. I'm just going to talk about the one, but it's the same criteria for slides 5 and 6 as well. And again, if you want to insert slides in between these slides, that's fine, but please do not delete the slides that I've already created for you. Thanks. It does say that you need 3 reasons to help support your position of the claim. For each reason, you will need to give evidence to support your reason. It can be facts, statistics, examples, observations, quotations, and expert opinions. And for the source, you will need to have 2 total. So 2 total sources per reason. One of these sources does have to come from activity 3.8 or something in your Springboard book for unit 3 if there is another article that supports what your reasons are. The next source can come from any other credible source that you may find. So review the credible sources and the activities previous to make sure that your sources are credible and you're not getting things off of Wikipedia. Please stay away from Wikipedia. And again, it does say, refer back to activities 3.4 and 3.52 as listed here. All right. So we have reason 2, reason 3. And then we have a conclusion. Your conclusion does need to be just a slide to sum up everything that you kind of basically already stated. This is at the end of your presentation, so you want to review your reasons about your claim. One last time to convince your reader till you have a very strong closing argument. And don't add any new information in the conclusion because that kind of defeats the purpose of finishing it up. Any information that you want to add, please put it in the previous slides for your reasons under your evidence and your citation sources. Okay? So that's it. I'm going to show you my presentation, go over a few things, and then I'll let you get started on your work. So I was just kind of playing around with my slides presentation. I did put this project teacher example on your Google Classroom for your reference. And you can always, of course, refer back to this video to help you to help guide you through some things. So a couple of things that I did want to share with you. I know a lot of us are familiar with Google Slides, so I know some of what I say is something that you already know how to do, but I do want to make sure that I at least go over it for those of you that may not be familiar with how to complete certain tasks on Google Slides. Okay, so for my title, I tried to be very creative, and I put, it's called The Downside of Social Networking, and of course by moi, and I put March 25th because that is the date that I was starting to work on it. It should be the 26th. I'm going to change that real quick. All right. So I just kept the please remember slides here for your reference as well. But if I were to be submitting this, the slide presentation, that would not be in my presentation. So just remember to get rid of that. Okay. And it does say, please delete the slide before submitting your presentation. So this is my claim. This is my slide, my introductory slide before my 3 reasons. I only put 1 reason in this slide just again for reference, but you will have 3 reasons for your sources and evidence. Or I'm sorry, including sources and evidence. It says social networking's negative impact. Though many people have found useful and meaningful ways to use social networking, the impact it has on kids is not as great. Kids seem to be spending too much time on social media websites. Going along with this claim is that social networking causes issues with behavior and socialization issues in young children. In addition, many kids are being stalked by online predators they encounter on these social networking sites. Overall, the negative impact social networking has on kids outweighs the positive claims that people believe. There is much evidence to support the negative impact social networking continues to have on kids. Don't copy mine because plagiarism. But this is my claim. I believe that social networking has more of a negative impact than it does have positive. There are a lot of negative things that outweigh the positive ones. So that's why I'm choosing this side for my presentation. My next thing is my reasons, and I only put the one that I'm using for my slides, for Springboard. So this is my slide for my very first reason. Social networking sites have a negative impact on kids' behaviors. I use the Springboard book for my very first source because, again, you need one from your Springboard book and then you need another credible source. I did the Springboard book just so that way you could see how how I'm using it. And also you have, if you'd like, you can just copy and paste that. That is the citation, the proper citation for the Springboard book. If you are using the informational text on page 213. So the first, the evidence that I have underneath my reasons is, according to the informational text, pro and con arguments, are social networking sites good for our society? It is mentioned that kids who have access to social networking sites are more likely to become victims of cyberbullying. It states, and this is where I am making sure I cite exactly from the text, that's my concrete detail. It states, a 2009 study found that 17.3% of middle school students have been victims of cyberbullying. So that does support how it has a negative impact on kids' behavior. Cyberbullying is not good. Cyberbullying is a big issue. Many young kids who experience this may become depressed, affecting their overall performance in school and their self-esteem. So right there, I basically, in a nutshell, told you how it's going to have a negative impact on kids' behaviors. Not only could they become cyberbullies, but if they are being bullied by the cyberbully, it still has a negative impact on the way that they act and the way that they feel. That's all behavior. And then my source came from pro and con arguments on social networking sites good for our society. You will write down or type when you got the source. So I put the 26th of March, 2020. You always want to put the day, then the month, then the year, all 4 digits for the year. And then it is print because it came from Springboard. So again, you can use this source. If you can just copy and paste that source into yours, as long as you are properly citing the source in your reasons, like I've done here. All right. And then if you wanted to add another slide, I just added this because I feel like this slide kind of is taking up a lot of room. But again, if you want to lay it out a different way where both of your evidence for your reasons and your sources both fit on one slide, you can, or you can just add a second one. I prefer to add a second one so it doesn't look too cluttered. And then my conclusion. To conclude, kids who are often accessing social networking sites have great chances of developing social issues in their behavior. These issues in behavior may lead to cyberbullying or, on the other end, depression of the bullied student. Often, online predators are convincing kids to give them information, leaving kids vulnerable to share information with strangers that they have never seen in person. The claim in my position is clear. Social networking is not acceptable for young kids. Parents and adults must make it so that their children are more focused on the real life to help keep them safe and out of social networking harm's way. So again, that's my ending statement, my ending conclusion. You want it strong, you want it solid, and you basically want to say This is my stance, and this is what I am sticking with. And you can kind of see how it relates back to the introduction, where I'm just basically restating what I would have said in my reasons in general. Okay. So some things to consider. Again, I know a lot of us are probably Google Slides presentation savvy, but just in case you're not sure. If you're wondering how I changed my background here, I just filled in this text box here with the fill color. So you can change that to whatever color you'd like, as long as, again, the font, and again, you can change the color of the font over here, as long as it's able to be like red. Like that's even okay, because that's a decent color to see through there. How I changed the background was I went to background. I have to click off of everything here. I went to choose image for this one, but you can change the color. Google image search, and I just typed in like social networking sites, social networking. I even put like social networking, maybe collage even, so I can change this. Like this is a pretty good graphic because it's kind of showing, all these apps that we can access and that maybe not are not good for students. So I chose that image. It's going to pop up, done. So I could use that image as well. I might even be able to change the fill color to transparent again. It's kind of hard to read now. Maybe a darker blue. Kind of. I would probably just keep it filled, honestly. So there's that. You can play around with that. Again, to change the color background, you go to background, change the color. Adding a slide. If you wanted to add a slide in, again, don't delete any of the ones we already have, but adding a slide, changing the layout. You can complete that, but that's all there is to it. So again, if you have any questions, pop in during office hours. I will be more than happy to assist you. All of this work is on your Google Classroom. You can find your slides presentation there. It's your own copy, so you won't need to make out your own copy. And the other materials are for you to view as well. Please also don't forget to fill out your organizer before you get started. You're going to use this, the reasons here and the evidence and source that you find, to create your Google Slides presentation. All right? Let me know if you need anything. Take care.